Commander Zilax's Emergency War Council froze mid-sentence as the tactical room's security doors opened, and three weapons officers simultaneously drew their plasma sidearms at the human holding a silver cylinder. "Whoa!" Emma Johnson raised her free hand, coffee thermos dangling from the other. "I'm just looking for the bathroom. This place is a maze." "Breach! Breach!" Officer Kael'thas's mandibles clicked frantically as his scanner shrieked. "Class 7 volatile device detected. Commander, she's armed." Zilax's three eyes widened. The holographic display behind him showed the enemy dreadnought fleet, 40 minutes from weapons range, and this human maintenance worker had just walked into the most secure strategic planning session in the sector, carrying what his officers were identifying as a weapon of mass destruction. "Identify yourself and surrender the device immediately," Zilax commanded, his translation collar rendering his clicking speech into standard Galactic common. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. Emma blinked. "I'm Emma. From maintenance? I fixed your air recycler yesterday, and I'm on my break." She glanced at the thermos. "Wait, you mean this?" "Do not activate it," Officer Vexia shrieked, her scales flashing warning colors. "Activate what? It's coffee." Emma unscrewed the lid to demonstrate, and 4 alien officers dove behind the tactical console. Zilax remained standing, though his claws had extended involuntarily. His scanner was going insane. The device registered thermal energy, pressure containment, liquid propellant, and molecular stimulants. Every indicator screamed weapon. The human took a sip. "Commander, get down!" Kael'thas yelled. Nothing exploded. Emma swallowed and looked around at the panicking military command staff with growing confusion. "Seriously, what's happening? I just need directions to—" "How did you get past security?" Zilax interrupted, trying to regain control of the situation while his tactical officers remained hidden behind furniture. The holographic display continued its countdown. 37 minutes to engagement range. "I walked?" The door was open. Emma gestured vaguely behind her. "Look, I can see you're busy with whatever military stuff this is. Just point me toward the nearest bathroom, and I'll get out of your way." "The door was not open," Vexia said from behind the console. "That's a bio-locked, triple-encrypted secure entrance. Nothing opens that door without proper authorization codes." Emma shrugged. "It was stuck. I wiggled the panel thing and it opened. Happens all the time with these electronic locks. They get dust in the sensors." Zilax felt his secondary brain shutting down from stress. "You bypassed military-grade security because the door was stuck? I mean, yeah, it's not hard. Just basic maintenance." Emma took another sip of her coffee, and Kael'thas made a small whimpering sound. "Are you guys okay? You seem really stressed." The tactical display beeped urgently. Enemy scout. Ships were launching ahead of the main fleet. 35 minutes. "Officer Kael'thas," Zilax said slowly, never taking his eyes off the human. "Scan her again. Full spectrum analysis." The weapons officer's hands trembled as he adjusted his scanner. The device immediately began screaming alerts. "Commander, everything she's carrying registers as weaponized. The thermal device, yes, but also—" He zoomed in. "There's an adaptive assault device on her belt, a quantum communication disruptor in her pocket, and something my scanner identifies as a molecular bonding weapon." Emma followed his gaze to her maintenance belt. "That's my multi-tool, my phone, and duct tape." "Your what?" Zilax asked. "Standard stuff? For fixing things?" Emma pulled out her phone, and every officer in the room tensed. "See? Just a phone. I was listening to a podcast before I came in here." The scanner's alarm reached a pitch that shouldn't have been possible. "That device," Vexia whispered from behind the console, "could disrupt communications across 6 star systems." Emma looked at her phone, then at the aliens, then back at her phone. "It makes phone calls?" 33 minutes to enemy engagement range, and Commander Zilax realized he had a much bigger problem than the approaching fleet. Everyone remain calm, Zilax announced, though he wasn't sure if he was addressing his officers or himself. Human Emma Johnson, please place all devices on the conference table, slowly. Sure, okay. Emma set down her thermos, and the tactical display flickered. She unclipped her multi-tool, and the lights dimmed momentarily. Her phone went on the table, and Kael'thas's scanner began displaying error messages in 3 languages. Is your equipment broken? Emma asked, genuinely concerned. I can take a look if you want. I'm pretty good with electronics. No! 4 voices shouted simultaneously. Zilax rubbed his primary temple. 29 minutes to engagement range. Officer Vexia, contact command. We need xenotechnology specialists immediately. Commander, the enemy scouts are behaving strangely, another officer called out. They're turning around? On the display, the scout ships were indeed reversing course, retreating toward their main fleet at maximum speed. Zilax's confusion deepened. Enemy scouts never retreated. Their doctrine required forward reconnaissance regardless of opposition. What could make them? He stopped, staring at Emma, who was now pulling items from her pockets and placing them on the table with helpful efficiency. Here's my stress ball, helps with the hand cramps from all the repair work. Oh, and my badge, obviously. Chapstick, some zip ties, super useful. A granola bar, but it's probably stale. Hair tie, and a bunch of receipts I should probably throw away. Kael'thas's scanner was having what could only be described as a nervous breakdown. Kinetic explosive, identification bypass device, organic chemical compound, molecular restraint system, biological fuel source, fiber-based binding mechanism, obsolete financial records. Okay, that one makes sense. Your stress ball is reading as a kinetic explosive? Emma picked it up and squeezed it. It's foam! Every alien in the room flinched. Please stop demonstrating the capabilities of your arsenal, Zilax said carefully. The enemy fleet's main body was now also slowing. Their communications channels had gone silent. 26 minutes to potential engagement range, but they weren't advancing. Emma laughed, actually laughed, and the sound made Officer Vexia's scales ripple with alarm. Arsenal? I'm a maintenance worker. This is just stuff I carry for my job. Your job, Zilax repeated slowly, requires you to carry multiple weapon systems? My job requires me to fix things that break. The multi-tool has screwdrivers and pliers. The duct tape fixes leaks. The zip ties are for cable management. Emma's confusion was evolving into frustration. What kind of galaxy do you live in where basic tools are weapons? The kind, Vexia said quietly, emerging from behind the console, where humans are classified as a Class 12 threat species. Emma's eyes widened. I'm a what now? You didn't know. Zilax felt reality tilting sideways. Know what? That you guys think my coffee is dangerous? Emma picked up her thermos again, and 3 officers reached for their sidearms. This is insane. Commander, Kael'thas interrupted, I'm picking up unusual readings from the power conduits near Section 7. That's the route the human took to reach this room. Zilax's blood crystallized. What kind of readings? The conduits are operating at 240% normal capacity. The safety limiters are disabled, and there's evidence of recent manual modification. All eyes turned to Emma. Oh, right, she said, wincing slightly. Some of the panels were loose, and I noticed you had these weird redundant buffer things that were just wasting space, so I cleaned up the connections and removed the unnecessary parts, made everything way more efficient. You're welcome? You modified our weapons power grid? Zilax asked. Was I not supposed to? I thought I was being helpful. Emma paused. Wait, why would your power grid need weapons-grade capacity anyway? This is a diplomatic station, right? It was a diplomatic station, Vexia corrected, before the border dispute escalated. Now it's a forward military command post. Oh, Emma considered this. So I accidentally upgraded your weapon systems while looking for the bathroom? Accidentally, Zilax repeated, his translation collar struggling with the word. 23 minutes. The enemy fleet had stopped advancing entirely. Their communications finally crackled to life. Attention Coalition Station. We detect human presence, requesting immediate status clarification. Emma looked at the display. Why do they sound so nervous? Zilax realized with growing horror. Exactly why. Commander, Officer Kael'thas said, manipulating the holographic display with trembling claws. The enemy detected the human's communication device. They think we've deployed a human combat unit. Emma's mouth fell open. A combat unit? I fix air recyclers. Your species ended the Vega conflict by simply establishing an observation post, Vexia explained, her voice tight. Both sides surrendered rather than risk human intervention. We weren't even in that war, Emma protested. Exactly, Zilax said. You observed. Both sides concluded that if humans were watching, escalation would attract human attention. Neither side wanted human attention. Why not? Emma asked, then immediately added, Wait, why am I the last person to know humans are apparently terrifying? Because your species doesn't know you're terrifying. Kael'thas clicked his mandibles in distress. You do these things casually. You weaponize coffee. You bypass military security because doors are stuck. You upgrade weapon systems as a courtesy. Emma set down her thermos slowly. Okay, backing up. You're saying the entire galaxy is afraid of humans? Not afraid, Zilax corrected carefully. Appropriately cautious. Your species exhibits technological adaptation patterns that defy standard threat assessment models. You take any object and somehow make it more dangerous than it was designed to be. I make things work better. That's literally my job. Yes, and that's the problem. Vexia pulled up a database on the auxiliary display. Look, human civilian vehicle, harmless. Human civilian vehicle after 3 months of human ownership, capable of atmospheric escape velocity. Human cooking implement, harmless. Same implement in human hands, cuts through starship hulls, human recreational explosive device. You mean fireworks? Yes, those. Banned in 47 systems after humans improved them. Emma stared at the database entries. There were hundreds. Thousands, each one documenting some mundane human object that had been reclassified as a potential weapon after human modification. This is ridiculous, she finally said. We're not trying to weaponize things, we're just creative problem solvers. That's exactly the problem, all 3 officers shouted together. The tactical display beeped. 18 minutes to potential engagement range, but the enemy fleet was now broadcasting on open channels. Coalition Command, we are prepared to negotiate immediate cessation of hostilities. Please confirm human unit status and deployment parameters. Zilax slumped in his command chair. They want to surrender. Because I'm here? Emma asked incredulously. Because you're here. You've already upgraded our weapons, bypassed our security, and you're carrying enough improvised equipment to be classified as a walking armory. Zilax gestured at her maintenance belt. From their perspective, we've deployed a human specialist. They have no choice but to negotiate. But I'm not a specialist. I didn't even mean to come in here. Which makes it worse, Vexia said. If this is what you do accidentally, what could you do intentionally? Emma picked up her multi-tool, examining it like she was seeing it for the first time. This is just a Leatherman. My dad gave it to me when I got this job. Kael'thas's scanner immediately identified it as an adaptive assault device with 17 deployment configurations. See? Emma held it out. Screwdriver, pliers, knife, can opener. It's for fixing stuff and opening cans. It's a variable configuration close-quarters combat implement with integrated cutting and manipulation capabilities, Kael'thas translated. Those are the same thing. No, Zilax said quietly. They're really not. You see tools, we see weapons, and the terrifying part is that you're both right. The communication channel crackled again. Coalition Command, please respond. We are prepared to discuss territorial concessions if human deployment can be confirmed as limited engagement only. Emma laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. They're offering you territory because I walked into the wrong room? Yes, Zilax confirmed. That's insane. That's reality. Zilax stood, straightening his uniform. Officer Vexia, prepare a response to the enemy fleet. Officer Kael'thas, get me an open channel. What are you going to tell them? Emma asked. Zilax looked at her coffee thermos and her multi-tool and her duct tape, and at the modified power grid readings that showed his station's weapons operating at levels that shouldn't be possible. The truth, he said, that we have a human. And then what? Then we see if we can end this war before you find any more helpful things to fix. Emma considered this. Have you guys tried just talking to them about why you're fighting? Every alien in the room stared at her. What? Emma asked. Is that not a thing you do? Talking, Zilax repeated slowly, is not standard military doctrine during active hostilities. Why not? Emma asked, genuine confusion on her face. Because we're at WAR, Vexia explained as if talking to a hatchling. Wars are resolved through strategic superiority, territorial control, and force projection, not conversation. Emma stared at her. But, have you tried asking them why they're attacking? Why they're... Zilax stopped. His command training covered 10,000 scenarios. First contact protocols, siege warfare, fleet tactics. Somehow, in 6 centuries of galactic military doctrine, no one had ever written a protocol for just ask them what's wrong. That's not how interstellar conflicts work, Kael'thas said, but his voice lacked conviction. Okay, but why not? Emma pulled out her phone and everyone tensed. Look, you've got an open channel, right? Let me just... She started tapping her screen. What are you doing? Zilax demanded. Setting up a translator app. Your communications. System uses standard quantum frequencies, yeah? This should interface. Emma held up her phone to the communications panel. Can you patch me through? You want to talk to the enemy fleet? Vexia's scales had gone completely white. Yeah, I mean they're already trying to surrender because they think I'm scary. Might as well use that. Emma grinned. Patch me through. Zilax's military training warred with the bizarre logic of human problem-solving. Finally, he nodded to Kael'thas, who activated the channel with shaking claws. Hi, Emma said into her phone. This is Emma Johnson, human maintenance worker, currently on Coalition Station 7. I understand you guys want to negotiate. The silence lasted exactly 4 seconds. Human confirmed! The enemy commander's voice crackled with panic. Yes, we wish to negotiate immediately. We have no hostile intentions toward human-occupied territories. We're not occupied by humans, Emma corrected. I just work here, fixed some air recyclers, but listen, why are you fighting these guys anyway? She gestured at Zilax. Another pause. The territorial dispute. Right, but what's the dispute about? The coalition established military presence in the buffer zone, violating the Treaty of Proxima, the enemy commander said, confusion creeping into his voice. This threatens our shipping lanes. Emma turned to Zilax. Did you establish military presence in a buffer zone? We established a listening post, Zilax said defensively, which they interpreted as military presence after they started mining the asteroid field that feeds our colony worlds. Emma turned back to her phone. They say you're mining asteroids that their colonies need. Those asteroids are in neutral space, the enemy commander protested, and their listening post can target our trade routes. Okay, everybody stop, Emma said, her maintenance worker problem-solving brain engaging fully. Coalition guy says the asteroids feed his colonies. Enemy guy says they're in neutral space, and the listening post threatens trade routes. Is any of that wrong? Both sides confirmed the facts were accurate. So you're fighting over resource access and security concerns that probably have non-military solutions? Emma asked. Zilax and the enemy commander spoke simultaneously. It's more complex than... Is it, though? Emma interrupted. What if Coalition moves the listening post out of targeting range of the trade routes, and you guys share asteroid mining rights with quotas based on colony needs? That way everyone gets what they actually need instead of what they're fighting about. The tactical display showed the enemy fleet. 14 warships capable of devastating firepower. Behind Zilax, Coalition reinforcements were en route. Millions of lives hung in the balance. That could work, the enemy commander said slowly, if the Coalition agrees to the positioning change. Zilax calculated trajectories, resource projections, strategic implications. The human suggestion was completely outside military doctrine. It was also perfectly logical. We would need guaranteed mining quotas, he said carefully. Obviously, Emma agreed. You've got colonies to feed, and they need trade route security, which makes sense too, so you both adjust and everyone gets what they need. She paused. See? Talking. It's not that hard. 15 minutes of discussion followed. Emma facilitated with comments like, that seems fair, and, okay, but what if you did it this way instead? The enemy fleet powered down weapons. Coalition Command authorized Zilax to negotiate terms. A border war that had been brewing for 3 years resolved in less time than Emma's coffee break. So we're good? Emma asked, checking her phone. Because I really do need to find that bathroom, and my break's almost over. Zilax stared at her. This human, with her coffee thermos and her multi-tool and her complete disregard for military protocol, had just accomplished what 6 months of strategic planning couldn't. You ended a war, he said. Emma shrugged. I asked some questions. You guys did the actual work. She picked up her thermos. Seriously, though, bathroom? Down the hall, 3rd door on the left, Vexia said faintly. Thanks. Emma collected her things from the table, her arsenal, Zilax's brain corrected automatically, and headed for the door. She paused at the threshold. Oh, and Commander, your environmental controls are making that weird humming sound again. I'll check it after lunch. She left. The security door, which required triple authentication, opened for her without hesitation. The enemy fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading home under the new treaty terms. Zilax sat down heavily in his command chair. Commander, Kael'thas said quietly, what just happened? A human happened, Zilax replied, and I think we need to rethink everything we know about conflict resolution. 3 days later, Galactic Command issued Emergency Directive 847, Human Interaction Protocols for Military Personnel. The document was 400 pages long. Emma got a highlighted copy delivered to her new office, which used to be a weapons storage facility until she'd been promoted to Human Liaison Specialist, a position that hadn't existed until she'd accidentally ended a war. I still mostly do maintenance, she'd protested when Zilax informed her of the promotion. Yes, he'd agreed, but now you also accidentally do diplomacy. The directive's key points included, human objects are Schrodinger's weapons until proven otherwise. Never assume humans understand the strategic implications of their actions. Human helping should be supervised by trained personnel. If a human suggests just talking, consider it seriously. Coffee is not classified as a weapon, pending further review. Emma was reading this in her new office when Zilax entered, looking tired. 3 more border disputes resolved this week, he announced. Let me guess, Emma said, not looking up from the directive. Both sides found out humans were nearby. Both sides found out you specifically were nearby. Zilax sat down across from her. Your reputation is spreading. The human who ended the Coalition Kralex war with a coffee thermos and common sense. I didn't end it with a thermos. The story has evolved in the retelling. Emma finally looked up. You know I'm not actually doing anything special, right? I just ask obvious questions. To you, they're obvious. To us, they're revolutionary. Zilax pulled up a holographic display. Galactic Military Academy is adding a new course, Human Improvisation Studies. They want you to guest lecture. Absolutely not. I told them you'd say that. Zilax smiled, a gesture he'd learned from watching Emma. They're offering hazard pay. For teaching? For being near military equipment while teaching. Insurance purposes. Emma laughed and took a sip of her coffee. Somewhere in the station, a newly installed sensor logged the thermal signature and flagged it for review. The flag was automatically dismissed under the Emma exception protocols. I did find the bathroom, by the way, Emma said. Door sensor was sticking. Fixed it while I was there. Zilax's communicator immediately chimed. Unauthorized modifications to secure facility detected. He silenced it without looking. I'll update the maintenance logs. The door works better now. I don't doubt it. That's what concerns me. Emma stood, grabbing her maintenance belt. I'm going to go fix the coffee maker in the break room. It's been making weird sounds. Please don't upgrade it, Zilax said automatically. I'm just going to clean the heating element. That's what you said about the weapons grid, Emma grinned. That's not a weapon, Commander. It's a coffee maker. Depends who's holding it, Zilax muttered, but Emma had already left. He looked at the pile of diplomatic requests on his desk. 4 more conflicts requesting human consultation. 2 trade disputes asking if Emma could just take a look at their negotiation frameworks. And 1 incident report about Emma fixing a docking clamp that now worked too efficiently. Zilax filed the reports and pulled up security footage of the break room. Better to monitor whatever Emma was about to do to that coffee maker. On screen, Emma opened the machine, hummed thoughtfully, and reached for her multi-tool. 3 officers immediately gave the break room a wide berth. Zilax marked the sector for elevated supervision protocols and poured himself a drink. Humans had been in the galaxy for less than 6 months, and they'd already changed everything. He suspected this was only the beginning. Down the hall, Emma finished her repairs. The coffee maker now worked perfectly, produced better coffee and, according to preliminary scans, could theoretically be used as a short-range communications relay in emergencies. She didn't mention that last part. Some things, she'd learned, were better left as happy surprises.